Okay, yeah, welcome. We can
Yeah,
just
thank
get
you very
started.
much. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for the little glitches that we're having.
All right, let me share my screen. Hey, you're all welcome once again to the Distinction webinar series. Today, we are going to talk about a very interesting topic. Many of you on the call today, I believe, are interested in breaking into the oil and gas, how to start, grow, and build a long-term career in the energy industry. My name is Faiz Bashir. I'm the CEO and co-founder of FlexiServe and Distinction Labs, your host of the Distinction webinar series. And joining me today is a very special guest, very experienced person in the oil and gas industry who he, I believe would give you all the nuts and bolts about the oil and gas industry and how you can get started and grow your career. Please welcome Dr. Abubakar Abubakar, who is a doctor in petroleum engineering and a researcher. He's an energy industry professional with over 15 years of experience across the oil services, technical operations, production systems, and energy industry strategy. His deep research background and extensive industry exposure give him practical insight into how the oil and gas sector operates across technical, operational, and commercial dimensions, from reservoir engineering to business development and digital transformation. His professional and research interests include flow assurance, reservoir engineering, production optimization, oil field operations, digital transformation in energy and crude oil emulsions, and demulsification. Dr. Abubakar is passionate about helping young professionals understand the realities of the oil and gas industry, build relevant skills, and position themselves for long-term growth in the evolving global energy sector. Welcome, Doctor. Okay, you're on mute. Can you unmute, please? Hello, are you still with us?
So sorry, Sheikh Faiz. I lost the contact.
Okay, we can hear you now. Can you hear
Okay,
us?
yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so we'll just get started into it, not to
Okay,
delay more time again. And just to let the audience know, coincidentally, Dr. Abubakar was my schoolmate in Abubakar Tafa Balewa University, Bauchi. Many students, I believe we have a number of students here today, they leave the university wondering what the future holds, what opportunities exist, and how to navigate an increasingly competitive world. While my journey took me into technology and entrepreneurship, Dr. Abubakar built an impressive career in the energy industry while also pursuing advanced research and earning a PhD. Today, as I've already introduced, we'll explore the decisions, lessons, opportunities, and experiences that shaped his journey and what they mean for anyone looking to build a successful career in oil and gas industry. Once again, welcome, Dr. Abubakar. So
Thank
just
you.
to,
Thank you very much, Sheikh
to
Faiz.
kickstart, when you were a student at ATBU, as a petroleum engineering student, what kind of future did you imagine for yourself and how different is your reality today?
Okay, assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to everyone. Thank you very much, Sheikh Faiz, for this wonderful initiative of Distinction Academy. I believe not only young professionals, but from the wealth of information I was able to go through of the academy, I believe professionals generally, you know, at different levels, either among those that are beginners or intermediate or even advanced professionals, have a lot to learn from this. And that's really not surprising, knowing the kind of person you are. As you've said, we're in ATBU together, and it was really a very important and memorable moment, while we were together in ATBU. Well, to answer your question, when we were students at ATBU, of course, as a lot of other students would believe and would understand where I'm coming from. And please, sorry for the little glitches in my lightings and all that. I'm not at location. It's a Salah holiday, so I'm not actually in my own location. I'm elsewhere, so just try to make sure that it happened today. So that's the little glitches. But I hope you can hear me clearly, even if you cannot see me clearly.
Yes.
So the question raised by Faiz regarding how, what kind of future one imagined, and then what the world of the reality today is. So basically, as tech students, as science and technology students, we always do have these challenges of being, coming up with plans, life, career, thoughts, probably cycle discussions among friends and among others. You always have that thought. That wasn't different from me. Choosing the petroleum engineering to be my course of study was actually not accidental. People were asking me, you left ABU's area and fly all the way to Bauchi, ATBU, to study when there are very good programs. ABU's area is a very renowned university. And of course, for those of us that grew up in Kaduna's area, we know that we used to believe if it's not ABU, no, it's not any other place, right? But then, of course, ABU do not offer the course I wanted to study. So, yes, I had to travel all the way to Bauchi to study petroleum engineering. And as I said, it wasn't actually a coincidence. It's something that I have planned for. Even though I had the thought of either petroleum or chemical engineering, but I was more inclined to petroleum engineering, especially after I've started a certain journey into the career. So as a student at that time, of course, my first thought was I actually want to work in NNPC. That was it. for me, oil and gas was NNPC, and I had neighbors growing up. I had neighbors that were in NNPC, even though he was actually a junior staff, but then he was someone who had some, two people. One actually ended in the military. He's in the Air Force, and then this was the oil and gas. And these were young people whom I can say, had trained me, had put the interest of sciences in me, physics, chemistry, and all that. So I felt I would want to be like my immediate neighbor who we share the same friends with. And I felt if we can have probably, okay, I think somebody is suggesting about the blend, right? Probably I should switch the location. If that would be brighter. I mean, probably he wants to see my face clearer. Yeah? Okay, so let me just switch my position. Just give me 1 minute.
Doctor, I think we can hear you clearly, please.
Okay, so fine. Thank you. So I believe that actually had some effect on me positively, right? So of course, when I came to study, I understood that people like Professor Isa Pantami, people like presently, I think Dr. Mohammed Abba and many of them whom we met in the system, introduced that, hey, you guys have to study very hard. You have this, you have to do that for you to excel. And people like Faiz actually used to be among the people we look up to because he's a year ahead of me, and I've learned so much from him. I think a year or two ahead of me, and I've learned so much from him in this field of engineering, although he was in electrical and electronics engineering, but he was one of the best actually that I've come across. So the reality of what we have today wasn't much different from what I had envisaged actually. Of course, I knew I had wanted to work in the oil and gas. And then first impression we were all given was you would have to get either a first class or 2-1 for you to get yourself into the oil and gas. Now, getting a first class in ETBU for me, it wasn't even a target. I didn't target it truly because I saw what I saw, and I saw people that are beautifully and handsomely intelligent, but then probably were not able to cross even a 4.0 over 5. So, of course, I didn't even target the first class, but then I had worked so hard and prayed so hard as well to see that I had my 2-1, and Alhamdulillah, God so kind, were able to get my 2-1. So the reality of what I have today about the industry is not actually much different from.
Sorry to quickly come in.
All right.
From what your last remark, it means having a first class in a 2-1 in ATB is like first class in other universities.
Yes.
But this is a topic
Yes.
for another discussion. But just to follow up on the background you've given and to jump in straight into the topic of the oil and gas. Now, many people are attracted to the oil and gas industry, even with the disruption in technology. They say data is the new oil and so on, but we still see that according to International Energy Agency, global energy investment still exceeds over $3 trillion annually. And even back home here in Nigeria, more than 80% of our export earnings is still from the oil and gas industry. And of course, there's also been innovation and transformation with the renewable energy and so on, which is all part of this industry. So my question to you is, many people are attracted to the oil and gas industry, but what do you think is the most thing that people misunderstand about this industry?
All right. Thank you very much for that wonderful question. So just to digress a little, right? Sometimes I come across a lot of topics, interesting topics from young people, probably from naive point of view regarding the oil and gas. I think some because of the especially on X, right? I think some because of just trying to farm engagement, as people say, they're trying to farm an engagement and they just want to start a controversy. So some would like the oil and gas is being overhyped. They're not the highest earners in the industry in the world, or stuff like that. I sometimes I'll just scroll through and I'll laugh because some a lot of misunderstanding about the oil and gas industry are ranging from the requirements, what is expected of you, range the challenges getting in, maintaining yourself, growing, crossing across disciplines and business lines and stuff like that. So a lot of misunderstanding, which I will try as much as I can to see that I summarize, especially for my respected audience. So basically, for those that know, the oil and gas industry is a very, very rich industry. Very, very rich and capital intensive and demanding. That at large, the people that are probably the people that are actually involved, in the sorry, my phone is ringing. Don't know. Excuse me. Sorry. So the people that most times maybe initiate discussions regarding the industry are not people that probably truly understand what the industry does and what the industry is all about. So to make it probably clearer and to make the point, the point I'm trying to drive home is we have there are, just like any other industry, there are requirements for you to be in the oil and gas industry. A lot of young people probably look at it from just the monetary aspect, which is very encouraging. I will tell you that without mincing words. You, excuse me, you would actually live a very comfortable uh, career, a life when you're in the oil and gas industry because the industry is created largely in such a way that they try to make sure that you take care of everything that is required for you to concentrate and deliver. Now, delivering is the key word. How you deliver is what now distincts you from others. There are a lot of people that have the thoughts and admiration and plans to get into the oil and gas industry. Uh, but what are those things that they don't understand? One, the issue of grades is very important. As I say, it is most times the opening, the gates, that would be open for you. You need to have, or rather, you need to have yourself access, or rather, you need to have to give yourself access into the industry before you can even have. I'm trying to. I think I put something down. Just want to have. So first is the academic excellence, right? That is super super important. Now, it's more than just a CGPA thing, right? As we say, it's more than just a CGPA thing. The real value of good grades is not just I have finished with a 4.99, 5.0 over 5, 4.5, or 3.5 minimum, 3.50 on a scale of 5.0 and above. That's not just the beauty of it. Hitting the books hard isn't just about showing off a high CGPA. It's about proving to these major energy companies that you have the grit, the discipline, and the mental stamina to handle complex, high pressure data. Now, you would have the grade, and some will tell you, I have a two, I've seen someone with a 2-1 or first class in so field, but the guy is still unemployed. Some probably, I can't make a sweeping generalization, especially with the volume of graduates we have today. But I assure you, there are enough opportunities to consume, if not all that is outside the market there, but as much as possible. But beyond just the CGPA, beyond just the grades, Sometimes probably the people might not be open to you to tell you that, oh, I have attended this much number of of interviews, but I wasn't successful. Maybe they might not be able to tell you, or maybe their CVs are not even presentable, or they present or they package a CV that they cannot defend. So many challenges, and I was opportune to be in different panels in my organization and some other sister organizations and some probably extension by friends when I was doing some consultancy services where I was part of some interview panels. And sometimes you would have, you'd be interviewing someone who comes with first class, but to be very honest, of course, academically, he was sound and he was able to have some CGPA, but present that same person with some complex data or question, you won't see any response probably. So the ultimate filter after the CGPA is what you should always look at. Big players in the industry or in the oil and gas sector get thousands of applications every year. Strong academic standing is often the first key that unlocks the door past those automated graduate trainee filters. Now, you make your schoolwork practical. That's the key. Even at getting in. Do you know in a lot of private organizations, probably not the National Oil Company, the NOC, that we have here, the Nigerian NOC, but probably in some independents and some other major players, the result of their graduate trainee is not probably most times publicized, but maybe if 100 people are being recruited into the graduate trainee program, sometimes almost half of it get dropped just 1 year after or even 2 years. Why? Because the graduate trainee, of course, would make use of your submission as first class graduates with so university and this and that, and then they will employ you, or that they will take you up for their graduate training program. Now, after the program or during the program, that's when the assessment keeps going, from individual assessment to group assessment to team assessment. And then at the end of it, the outcome, if the outcome doesn't meet their own requirements or what they want from you, then they will drop you. Because it was a graduate training program, and you've always been told that you are under a probation period. So if you are not able to perform and probably outperform the expectations of the organization, they will drop you. Now, so these are some of the challenges. So a lot of people think it's all about connection. I assure you, 90% that's not true. Oil and gas is not just about connections. Probably you can disagree with me, but even the NNPC recruitment over the years, if you ask anybody who has been involved in probably the procedures, the processes, will tell you that majority of what of graduates that NNPC employ have been employed based on merit. I know a lot of mentees of mine who happen to be in NNPC today. In fact, when they sent to them the SMS, one was telling me that he said, maybe this is just a scammer, because he knows he doesn't know nobody. He just went out, he wrote the exams. He doesn't even have any connection whatsoever. But he received an SMS that you are due for an interview. Then his other friend, who are of the same level in the society, not from the connected families, also called him that he has been interviewed. And today, I can tell you that for the past 5 or 6 years, they've been working very, very fine in NNPC. So this is not just story of just the most recent recruitment. If you go through, it has always been like that in NNPC. It has always been like that. So even with your connections, of course, there are points that it will work, but merit always supersedes. Now, when you look at the amount of people NNPC can employ, now compare it to what other IOCs, Shell, Chevron, ExxonMobil, and others, the service companies, Schlumberger, Halliburton, Baker Hughes, Weatherford, and others, what they can employ together with the Dangote refinery in the downstream sector, with the local companies and the Western, Sahara, Seplat, and so many of them. NNPC is not even recruiting 5% of what these people are recruiting. So, but then a lot of people now look at, oh, it's all about NNPC. I want to get employed into NNPC and all that. And then you focus on that. Man, there are so many other opportunities, and I show you with so much beautiful packages that probably, if some actually are even way ahead of what NNPC offers. I can tell you that. And some are not even known. But when you're in the industry, you get yourself informed, you get yourself prepared and ready for the opportunities that gets to you. So, one, your grades. Two, misunderstanding about it's all about connections. That's not also true. And then the last one about the packages. Some say, oh, it's actually overhyped. So many things that have been said about the oil and gas industry is not true. I assure you, it's actually true. In fact, some things cannot be mentioned because it's not in your own place to mention that this is the much benefit that you have. Because in every career, those things are very important, and the oil and gas acknowledge that and they don't joke with it. So basically, for the young people, I think trying to summarize this, all I can say, Sheikh Faiz. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that detailed information on how this works. But just to help the audience, we all agree that this industry is competitive, and you have to one way or the other stand out, right? If I get you good grades is helps you maybe to even get to the into the uh, review stage and so on. But if you summarize, what are the things that one needs to do to really to stand out and help him, get to the, get enter into this industry.
Thank you very much. I think I will list them, and then if, of course, I know it's going to be more like a chat session at a point with questions. If there's any question on that, of course, the questions can come, and I'm very ready to respond to them. So one, as I said, is actually the academic excellence. You can't do without that. Can't do without that
So
because you
sorry
would
to
even be
quickly come in now. Someone with a third class, is it possible for him to get into the
okay.
energy
So very
industry?
very possible. I have seen people that have taught class but not at the graduate trainee level because, as I said, there are different gates, right? There are
Okay.
different gates, and with those gates, because of the competition, highly competitive, they would have to put some stringent orifices, as in fluid dynamics, right? They'll have to put some small orifice so that the only the smaller and the most competitive and most agile particles can go through. Now,
Okay. So you can proceed with the, let's say, the normal this thing. Maybe
okay,
after
okay.
that,
So,
I'll ask you on the other ways other people that don't have the standard requirements can follow.
all right. Thank you very much. So, as I said, the academic excellence is something we can't do away without, especially starting as a graduate, as a fresh graduate with probably 0 to 1 or 2 years of experience, and then you take advantage of internships. Some opportunities come to you through your internships, and this could be the SciWest 1 and SciWest 2 uh, for engineering students that studied in Nigeria. I know there are quite some audience here. Some have sent me personal messages. They didn't study here in Nigeria. They had their degrees overseas, and their engineering was 4 years. So they had only 1 year or one semester rather of SciWest. Unlike those that probably study engineering, we have like SciWest 1, SciWest 2, SciWest 1 and SciWest 2, I think, right? Uh, so
NYSC.
the yeah, so the internship programs are very very important, and they are something that I think a lot of people uh, do not really understand. And then you develop genuinely a curious mind. That curious mind, curiosity mindset of curiosity is very very important. It's an industry that is very dynamic. Everything changes, uh, you know, very fast. And because of the competition, because of the demands in energy, because of the demand in the industry. The players keep changing, and so many other factors. It's an industry that requires a very very curious mindset. So for you to navigate that, uh, I can explain that much later. And then your ability to embrace digital tools and artificial intelligence, very very important today. This is what the industry today would have, and these are some of the challenges that a lot of people do not understand. And you feel it's just the conventional engineering. I studied petroleum engineering, I studied mechanical or civil or electrical or chemical, and then that's it. It's very difficult, especially with different organizations, different needs, different goals, different targets. So, of course, you don't expect 2 or 3 interviews to be the same because the demands for these 3 industries or these 3 organizations are always different. I think the fifth one is your ability to level up your skills, your interpersonal skills. Very, very important and very, very key. You need to have that ability to understand that you cannot work in a vacuum and you cannot work with what you don't have. You need a skill that would meet up with the challenge of today. You might have the skill of the challenge of 10 years ago. If you remain stagnant at that level, I assure you there's always a head count in organizations. Every organization, especially private organizations, of course, would always have a head count. They'll have a head count time to time, sometimes 5 years, 10 years, depending on the need. And they will always want to remove those staff that are not leveling up their skills. You are not meeting up with what is required. You are not meeting up with what the industry needs today. So they wouldn't need your services and they'll have to drop you. So those things are very, very important. And of course, time, playing, the long game. You have to observe the time. Career resilience takes a lot of patience. Some want to start today and then become what they want to be today. It doesn't work like that. Some want to go into the oil and gas industry, but they say, no, I don't want to start as an internship or I don't want to start as a contract staff. I want a full employment, pensionable employment, and I want it with either Shell or Chevron strictly, or to ExxonMobil or NNPC. That's the only thing. And then there are no, you can't, it doesn't work like that. Your friend might have it that way. Your own route, your own child, your own route to it might be different. So you have to consider that everybody has his own, route, and you have to look at that. Time changes, the requirements change, and the challenges as well change. So you have to also be ready to move with the tide of the change. Thank you.
Thank you. So just to buttress on what you've said, and you've touched a bit on the other route. So the initial question I asked for people that maybe do not have the expected grades and so on, or were not able to just get entry directly. Just like you said, mentioning if someone can maybe start through contract as a contract staff, or maybe some other kind of training and so on. So putting all this together, and also to add to this question, what we know life is not always straight line, right? There are many paths to everyone's journey and destiny. So putting all this together, the question is, does someone have to study petroleum engineering to get into the oil and gas? And what other routes apart from maybe, I go to school, I finish with a 2-1 or first class, apply, get interviewed, and so on. What are, I believe majority people get into this through different other routes. So what are these other routes that people can take advantage of?
Yeah, thank you very much, Faiz. That's actually a very thought-provoking question, and I think very, very important. So let me start with the with the fact that whether what I study or whether I have to, I mean, whether I have to study petroleum engineering or chemical engineering to be in the oil and gas industry. That's probably a myth or a misunderstanding, which I think I skipped from the last question. That's entirely not true. The oil and gas industry, as it is, actually is an embodiment of every profession. Uh, Everything you study in the, I mean, every course of study of yours actually is being needed. I know people who studied language are in the oil and gas industry. When I say language, African language, actually, because they've been taught in English. I know people who actually studied French in Nigeria, uh, and then an opening comes up from Total, and then she got the link from a friend of mine. He was actually the one telling me, and I met her in one of the NAPI conferences, and then we were discussing, and she was actually telling me that this is the guy that presented this opportunity to me, and we were like, oh, that's how God does things and all that. So she actually studied French, and they had a project in I think one of the francophone countries, and then they need someone who speaks very well English and French as well to hold a very good position. It was sent to her. She was employed, and honestly, I tell you, they gave her the opportunity to work. Uh, I think remotely for almost a year, and then subsequently she was moved to the location of Total, and she was paid in dollars even while she was in Nigeria, and it was some good sum of money, really comfortable for her. So I know people who had studied English language as a course. They're in oil and gas, accounting, of course, very important, finance, anything planning, anything commercial, anything technical, anything IT. So if you look at it, every course you study, you can work in the oil and gas industry. I studied chemistry, physics, either education or just physics or just chemistry. I mean, all those are very important courses, and everything you study, as I said. So what is required of you is not just the course. That's not what the industry. That's not what as I said sometime last week in Benin, right? I was on a panel, an SP panel, and I was discussing with young professionals from NNPC and from other oil and gas companies. And I told them that there's always two, there are very two things we tend to forget. The university is entirely different from the industry. So when you are in the university, you are being trained. You are being trained to perfection in a way. Because if today I ask a question in reservoir engineering, and the question is about arriving at a particular bottom hole pressure of maybe 14.5 psi A, absolute, something like that. If you don't give me 14.5, you don't you failed. You're not going to have. I'm not even going to give you a half mark because I needed a final answer for that. The industry doesn't work like that because you are moving into a very complex environment, and it is that your ability to decipher complexity and work with uncertainty and complex.
I think we lost him. Hello.
Does not exist, so you won't get um,
Yeah, hello. I think we lost him. A minute, please, while we sort this out.
Sorry, a call came in and interrupted
the
Oh,
yes.
we can hear
So
you now.
thank sorry for that, right? Yeah. So as I was saying, that action is not what the industry requires of you. So even when you get a 5.0, 5/5 in CGPA, that's perfect. You might not still be able to work in the industry, or you might not even be seen as worthy, employable in the industry. Why? Because you probably still haven't changed that mentality of perfection, and then you come into industry, and then there's this also misconception. They say if you are technically sound, you don't need any interpersonal skill. You don't need to know how to work perfectly with people. You can be a 5/5 person, right? But you won't be able to get or to be employed in the industry if they understand that such stuff is missing, in you. So what I'm trying to put here is whatever course you study, just try and study it well, understand it very well, and have a good grade. That's one. After you've had that, now, as I said, some people might be employed. I don't want to say lucky to be employed at the initial stage. But then sometimes they understand things better. They get the fact that um, this is the industry that they're starting with. They didn't, so their whole experience is within the industry. However, there are people that probably started from other organizations, maybe from a downstream sector, or from an academic environment, or from a research unit, or from other places, and then they still find themselves back into the industry, and then they work perfectly. I know someone who worked in a small fertilizer blend, not fertilizer blending. I mean, in a lubricant blending company in India. After he started after he finished his first degree in Nigeria, he found the opportunity on LinkedIn. He told me, and then he went to that blending plant in India. He worked for around 3 or 4 years, and then he found himself back to NNPC, because he was still young when he finished. So when the graduate trainee stuff in NNPC was out, he came back, and then as life would have it, he now, was sent to a refinery in NNPC, and he found perfectly what he was doing in India, matching perfectly what he was also doing in NNPC. So, and then his growth became very fast. I mean, he was being given more responsibilities, and then of course his light, he's been observed by the management more, and then before you know, he was actually given some management positions even faster than his own colleagues, right? So all this stuff, happened. So after you've gotten your degree, as I said, you reach whatever course you've studied. The normal process, let me say, not the normal process, there are different ways, right? You can start as an intern, as a graduate intern. Graduate interns are interns that are being employed into the industry to do a 1 year internship. That's not an employment, it's just an internship for 1 year. Now, that is not a graduate training program as well. This is a graduate internship program. Now, but you must have, in Nigeria, you must be, by the law, you must have finished your degree, and you must have finished your NYC as well. So it's not an NYC opportunity that you want to go and do internship 1 year. That's not what the law in Nigeria wants. The law says you have to also finish your degree and finish your NYC. That means you are employable. So it's like a 1 year employment period, but for internship. And then when you happen to be, to demonstrate to the organization that you are actually a value creator, you add value. The industry need your services, and you have to demonstrate that. Actually, you don't just go there, do the normal routine, and after 1 year you would expect them to call you for an interview to confirm you, into the mainstream proper. It doesn't work like that most times. So what you need to do in most cases is you have to show extra skills, extra effort, demonstrate that, sir, I can see the process we do on A and B are good, but I have an additional skill, an AI skill a digital skill where I can reduce the uptime, where I can reduce downtime, where I can make the efficiency from 70 to 85 or to even 75. And then you say, if you don't mind, sir, I'm available to make a presentation to the team, to your team, and I assure you, this is surely going to add value over what I've been working on for 1 year. You are already presenting yourself to the organization, and this is what you need to do. But if you just go and do the routine job, and I mean that's it. It makes you just the normal person, not what the industry would want to employ. That's very, very important. Secondly, um, there's the graduate trainee program, which I said you'll be employed as a graduate trainee, you'll be trained, and then you'll be put on probation, right? It's actually a 1 year probation, some 6 month probation, or 1 year or 6 months after the first 1 year. So depending on the organization. Now, a graduate trainee is normally also a first step of entry, just as the graduate interns are. Um, if you get yourself into that and you have the opportunity to be, please, I beg of you, try and exhibit the best you can. Be focused, concentrate, add value, learn, ask questions. I mean, ask a lot of questions. Ask so many questions. Anything that's not clear to you, ask questions. Uh, Make it as if you're preparing for an examination. That 1 year should be like, I'm preparing for an examination. Even though some organizations, after the 1 year graduate training, they will run an examination for you. They want to examine you and see, have you actually learned what they want you to learn, so that they can now place you probably further, or they can say thank you very much and give you a certificate and say you finished the training, but they don't want to keep you further. But even at that, it's not a loss. I know people who did graduate training, the Shell Intensive Training Program, SITP, but they were not employed by Shell. They came out. Some went to Saudi Aramco. I know some went to Petrobras in Brazil. Some stayed in Nigeria and joined other independents and major players in the industry, and so many others. And I assure you, we have over 100 of those players in the industry. So many. We have marginal field operators that the federal government has given licenses to operate different assets. We have the IOCs, and we have a lot of players. So don't feel the opportunities are not there. But if you don't prepare for the opportunities, you won't actually see them. That's the reality.
Yeah.
So, sorry,
Yeah.
just to round up the others. After the graduate trainee, then there are experienced hires. Of course, from 5 years, you can be considered as an experienced hire. Uh, some 4 years, depending on how much experience you are able to gather. And after you've gotten those experience, what is now required of you is, when you go further, while you are on it, you keep looking for better opportunities. Now, an opportunity, you might be in a small organization or a small company, Oriental Energy. I'm not saying Oriental is small, right? But all these are marginal. These are small operators, right? Now you're probably with a small operator, and then opportunity opens in NNPC, of course, a bigger operator, and now an experienced hire. You've been working in Oriental, in ND Western, in Sahara, in Seplat. Although Seplat is also one of the big boys in the house right? So now and then opportunity comes up, you can open up. I mean, you can look at those opportunities and apply for an experienced hire. You might be hired as an experienced person, and so that's another route. There are others that also get so the experienced hire might differ, might be 5 years, 6, 10, continuously, right? So mid-career employment, a lot of people, get employed from mid-career, from deputy managers to managers, and some even executive directors directly. All their lives, they've been in other organizations.
Oh, we lost him again.
Well,
Yeah, hello, are you back? Okay, I think.
Hello, sorry,
Okay.
I'm back now. Yeah, so I've been getting. So let me just put this call. This let me put this on DND, right, so that I don't get any disturbance. Sorry, please. I have something to approve for a mobilization to site. So, but I'll be talking while I do that. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So sorry, please. So sorry. That's an operations team for you, right? You know, you're talking with an operations
Mm.
person, so it happens like that sometimes. So I just made approval, but I saw only one. So hello?
Hello, sir. Sir.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello?
Eid Mubarak.
Okay, please, can I call you
Hello,
back?
sir.
Can I call you back? Let me call you back. Please, so sorry, so sorry, so sorry. Okay. Okay, so Frank Price, what was I saying?
Yeah,
Oh,
you can start from the other organizations and
okay, very well. So as I said, right, there are no direct, there's no straight line, right, to how you get yourself in. You try as much as you can to see that you are prepared, you prepare for the role. I mean, whatever role you need, but you need to actually plan for yourself. You need to prepare. What do you want actually? What exactly do you want to be? Are you just moving without plans? I'm sorry to say you might not have a plan. You might not have a role to play in the industry. But when, for instance, you know what you have, you want a HSE role, and this is what you're targeting. It doesn't matter in which organization, but you want so a role in HSE. Then you prepare yourself to HSE courses. If you want a production technology or production performance or production optimization, a reservoir engineering, an accounting role, a sales and commercial role, whatever role you need, you prepare yourself to that. Instrumental engineer, because you read electrical electronics, you want to be an instrument engineer in the industry, you want to be a facility engineer, you want to be a facility supervisor in Shell, in Chevron, whatsoever. You go to their website, you look at what do they need for a facility engineer. Oh, maybe they make an advertisement. You don't have it, but you look at, oh, so they need someone to know this, to be able to do this, to be able to do this. Are these things I can learn through some skill acquisitions? Yes. Are these things I can read on my own? Are these things I can get certifications from websites like Distinctions? Are these things I can read on my own and probably go for an examination and get certified? Yes. I mean, whatsoever it is, you get yourself prepared. Because when you don't get yourself prepared, the role will be there and the role will keep advancing. People that are prepared will come and get the role while you won't get the role. So the roles are there. Don't make yourself docile and irrelevant while you still have a lot you can add to the industry. Thank you very much.
thank you for this
Yeah.
uh, in-depth explanation. Just to build on that. Now you've emphasized on preparing yourself, right? Beyond just the traditional, oh, I go to school, I graduate, I have a certificate. We all agree this is competitive, but at the same time, the opportunities are there. And you also clarified the misconception maybe when they say the oil industry, people just think about NNPC, Shell, maybe Mobil, and so on. There are, like Doctor have said, there are hundreds of these organizations which you gainfully be employed or and also gain experience. Probably in the future you can even prefer to be a consultant to even these big players because you've got into this industry, you've learned a lot and so on. So it's all about this preparation, lifelong learning, which is like a distinction. This is our vision to create world of lifelong learners. You are constantly learning, improving yourself, and all of that. So the question I want to ask you based on this, you've just to emphasize more in terms of training, certification, skills development. You've been mentioning some things. I believe some people like me don't even understand you say HSE role and so on. So how people that have interest, in this industry, we have over 100 people that have joined this webinar that all have this interest. Maybe some of them are just getting started. So how can they learn these things, HSE and so on? Just my point is, what do you elaborate more in terms of skills building, training, and so on beyond the traditional university or polytechnic system?
Okay, thank you very much, Sheikh Faiz. So honestly, this is a very, very important question and very close to my heart because even when I am in the industry, I still teach in the university. I'm an adjunct senior lecturer, so I still teach and I still mentor young people, right? Still mentor young people. Although this from last year, actually, I've uh, reduced the number of people I mentor very closely. I want to finish with them that I've started long ago before I open up for. So some might have been probably contacting me. I've given my WhatsApp number to some, and probably some through LinkedIn, and probably have not been receiving my full attention. This is the reason actually, and I think I informed some of you that I have a set of mentees that I'm training, and I want to make sure that I finish with them because they have put so much effort into it. We have published some papers together with them. I've given them assignments on so many things, and they were able to deliver. So I felt it was just right for me to finish with them before I take more than I can assume. I also have a lot to do on personal growth to keep building myself, get more skills, and learn more things, for growth. So basically, beyond the traditional degree programs you run, which are, with all due respect to the policymakers, uh, uh, I advocate a very, very swift shift from the conventional degrees we issue, especially in petroleum engineering, chemical engineering, I mean, even mechanical and others, to be very honest. There are a lot of things today that obtains from where the industry would want that we don't give. And this is not entirely because the lecturers are not willing to, but because it is not probably in the curriculum, that is being approved by the policymakers. So all the time, anytime, anywhere I have the opportunity to speak, I do say it because you don't know who might be listening to you, might just be the right person or close to the right person to make that. I know when I was doing my PhD in Malaysia, there is this synergy that always exists between the national oil company and the universities. In which case, every 1 year or 2 years, the industry will come to the industry panel
No, again, unfortunately, he's using his phone for the internet, I guess. Hello?
How do you want us to, curriculum suitable for you? How do you want the curriculum to reflect what you, can you hear me?
Yes,
I mean,
we can hear you now.
very well, very well. So, there's this an IEP panel, industrial experts panel, where each year, or at least after every 2 years, that panel will come to that same university. For instance, University of Lagos, HEBU, University of Port Harcourt, they have their own industry expert panels. Or the federal government can even make it, a panel for 6 universities, each panel for 6 universities that teach petroleum and chemical and civil and electrical, with one professor from each, one expert from the industry, to make that panel. So that every year the panel from the industry will come and then sit with the university council and say, okay, what do you want us, the council in the university will now ask them, what do you want us to pay emphasis on, to the students from 300 level 4 and 5, so that they will be useful to the industry, they'll be employable, less training, less time, they will add value, they will improve, stuff like that, right? Instead of people coming out, they'll be even saying, I know there's a time we were doing ordinary differential equation in ATBU, and when it was too hot, some people were like, this thing said, are we going to use it in the industry? Have you ever had somebody using Fourier transform? Fourier transform, have you ever had somebody using it while he's in oil and gas industry? And the reality is, I can't remember where I've used any of the Fourier transforms, the eigenvalues and eigenvectors, this integration and differentiation integration that I have studied on their own. However, they have applications in the industry. So how can we make meaning out of it? We know simulation. Simulation is mimicry with what the industry needs. So how do you make what we teach in the university to become relevant in the industry? Now, this is not just what the lecturers can do. We know the lecturers have not been doing so well on their own, because a lecturer would need so much to invest in himself, to train himself, to even do personal research. But when you don't pay them adequately, when you don't take their welfare, very, very important. They might not have that, interest in even, let me spend hours doing research so that I'm going to teach my students. No, they won't. So the university, together with the government and the oil and gas industry, need to come together to make that fully better. Sorry, what was I think I digressed a lot. Yeah?
Yeah, just emphasis on skills, training.
Yes, so exactly. So I think the skills, beyond the traditional and conventional things that we have been taught, one needs to learn a lot of skills, to be honest. Even from, for instance, petroleum engineers, even when you have been taught reservoir engineering in the university, when you come out, you need to know what are those relevant things that reservoir engineering do in the industry. I know you might have been taught simulation, Monte Carlo simulation, and others. I'm always on Monte Carlo because that was what they emphasized for me when I was on the undergraduate. But when I came out, I realized that I was not able to use it actually anywhere. Meanwhile, I've learned some other skills, maybe from some softwares that are being developed by some companies, and then those softwares actually are doing everything that you don't actually need to do the calculations yourself. They have the inbuilt knowledge, they've been designed to be able to do this, interpolate, do this and all that. So in essence, you need to learn those, right? You as well need to learn digital AI. Digital communication today is very important, being it programming languages that are relevant, being it data analytics. You need to get yourself ways you can look at complex data and even data that does not make sense. Data that people will look at it. I remember when I was doing my PhD, right? And I did January to December taking data. I'm always proud of this because, wallahi, I felt like someone who went to the farm with a hoe and seedlings, planted the seedlings, come back to water them, and then observe how they grow. At the end of the year, harvested them. That was what I felt. Because I remember I did my design program using a particular software. I know for those of you that know DOE, Design Expert, I used a Design Expert to design program, and I had like 1,000 runs to do, 1,134 or thereabout, of samples to prepare and study them, each one. And I have to use them in the lab. So from January to December, I was in the lab. I was just discussing yesterday with my wife, thanking her again for what she did, during Ramadan, I will be away, from home. I'll be in the lab. She was there with me overseas, so we were actually studying together. I'll come home for iftar. I'll do tarawih. I'll sleep a little. 1 a.m. I'm up. I'll go back to the lab. I'll be in the lab until subihi. I'll take my suhoor. I'll quickly come back, take my suhoor, pray subihi, sleep a little until 10 a.m. and then go back. Now I did this from January to December, and after that I had an empirical data. I have a data, but now this data, I don't know what to do the data. I don't know what next to do. For the next 6 months, I was not able to make use of that data. I had to contact a lot of people, some in Saudi Aramco, some in King Fahd University, some in Turkey, some in China. I'll just be googling, looking at people that have worked with similar data. I'll be sending emails to them. Some will respond, some will ignore. I mean, why? Because I didn't have much knowledge about data analytics. And then I had to do some modeling, right? And I don't know what to do. I was used to ANN, Artificial Neural Network, but I realized that I used to do gene expression programming, genetic algorithm, and all that. And I don't know shit about them. I don't know anything. I don't know even how to make this data workable. I remember sending it to one person, and he told me that, doctor, thank you very much. I mean, you've done so much, but honestly, I don't know I don't know how you can use this data. And this is someone who has done so much in that field. So I was totally demotivated that day. But I didn't give up, I came back again, keep searching until I met a professor who was in Australia, and I sent him a message, I think from ResearchGate, contacted him. He got back to me, and wallahi al-azim, alhamdulillah, that was actually the way through. He said, oh, I've worked with something similar. In fact, let me send you my own data and how I was able to refine the data. I have to work on the data to remove a lot of outliers that were causing some issues, and then work with the exact information that I need. And that was how I was able to finish within 3 weeks what 6 months was not able to bring for me. So those things, those skills are very key. Now, when you come to in the industry, you go and take samples. You are producing oil and gas. You are producing from every region has its own peculiarities, have its own challenges. Now, you have to be monitoring the data and see the trend. How is I'm producing? My pressure is depleting. I have some oil and gas, some crude in the reservoir, but the pressure to push the oil above is coming down. Now, the data is not making sense, because when I'm producing more, the pressure should be going down. Or even the pressure is maintaining, there should be some pressure decline if my production is going down. But there's no pressure decline and my production is going down. This is the data I have. What's happening? Now you need to study this data. You need to understand, how can I make meaning? If you don't know this data analytics, you don't have the skills. Trust me, even Excel, if you don't know how to use all these things, you can't make any difference. So from the conventional, away from the traditional, you need to go further and learn skills. And this is where I commend so much Faiz. For those of you that don't know, Faiz was a programmer from childhood. He's someone whom I see as God's gift. Wallahi. In fact, I was telling my son about him some days back. When he started showing interest in Python, I told him that, see, you need to learn. I always look at, I remember that time when all these programming languages were very difficult for people in ATBU. They come to Faiz, although he was not in computer science, he was in electrical, but Faiz was epic. So he has done so much. You might have FlexiServe. It's another very established company that has been helping the industry in Nigeria so much in many other ways. You can Google FlexiServe and you see what they do. Faiz is the brain behind FlexiServe. the CEO and founder of FlexiServe. And FlexiServe is an employer today. He's employed a lot of graduates, have provided lots of solutions. Now, this is how we need to think, right? Away from the conventional thing. And I assure you, 90% of these things were not taught if I was in the university. I know I'm not exaggerating if I say that. A lot of things he learned are probably not just in the conventional way that we have been taught in the university. So what do you need to do? You need to go out, create time, right? Instead of catching crews on social media, just wasting your data and all that, find time to use that data meaningfully, right? Enroll. Few hundreds of thousands, maybe a few thousands, would get you this certificate. Some are free, some are at a cost, some are probably at discounted rates and all that. So I even want to discuss with Sheikh Faiz and see if probably we can have some discount on distinction, maybe for some weeks or for some days, at least to be able to get a lot of people to get more skills. Because honestly, skills rather than degree. Not only degrees, you need the skills. The skills are very important, and that is what pushes the industry today, and that's what you need to have as much as you can. So as I said, either you are in health, safety, and environment (HSE), you are in procurement, you are in operations, you are strictly technical, you are in management, you are even in HR. You need to have the skills outside what the university, and the skills are there. I mean, there are a lot of them. You are in downstream, you are in midstream, whichever level in the value chain you find yourself, or you want to build your own company and be a contractor of your own to provide services, you have to start from somewhere. So the skills are things you need. And honestly, myself, when I went through the site, I saw things that I also need to, learn and relearn actually on what what distinction offers. So I encourage us to learn a lot of skills and see as much as we can how we can make value out of what we have. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor, for this in-depth input and all the positive feedback. Coincidentally, as we begin to round up, I think we will try to round up by 12:30. I've seen a number of questions and so on, and I have one or two questions for you around the PhD you've talked a lot about and so on. But before that, I think coincidentally, based on what you've said and so on, I'll just use this opportunity to quickly share some more information about distinction and Doctor and other colleagues of him, have put very valuable courses together based on all their decades of experience in this industry, which you can seize the opportunity. And like he said, we are giving a special promo for all the attendees today. So we have oilandgas.distinction.app. You can see it on the screen here. You can scan this code or just visit oilandgas.distinction.app and you'll find all the information you need around the different skills you need from beginner, intermediate to advanced, from the core industry operations and other digital skills you need in today's age. So you can also, get while, as Dr. mentioned, he has been mentoring a lot and so on, and with his experience, he realized that there are some students that may want to get started with these things, but the oil and gas can be quite expensive. Things are mostly expensive, but in his own generosity, have put this thing and made it affordable for people like you. And today, there's also a special promo, 30% off when you visit oilandgas.distinction.app and you want to enroll for any of the courses. Just use this code oil and gas 30 to get 30% discount. valid for the next 14 days, which will end on the 13th of June. So you send all the details on the chat as well as your emails just to take advantage of this. And just more about distinction for those of you that don't know what distinction is. An AI-powered teaching and learning platform, that empowers creators to turn any syllabus into a full course and also help students in their learning by giving them AI agent that personalizes this learning and help them in their own career progression and so on. So if you want to get, apart from the oil and gas, doctor also mentioned a lot of skills like communication, for example, which is something I'm very big on. People underestimate this a lot. No matter how intelligent or smart is, if you can't communicate, you can't express your ideas, then it makes it for people to understand you and even give you the opportunity to progress. So we have other courses on distinction, which are CPD UK accredited. All this on your certificate will go a long way in helping you differentiate from others. So visit distinction.app/learners to search more on all these courses that are available. And you can also visit distinction.app/creators in case you also have other skills you want to share and create your own courses. Distinction empowers you to do all these things. So this is just a quick update. So we'll try to, before we go into the Q&A, I'll say one or two final questions. When we talk about PhD, from what you just said, you've done a lot of research, and I believe that has broadened your horizon in this industry. And also, interestingly, I believe you started with the academics before you even jumped into the oil and gas. So many people may not know that that's another route. But the question is, why PhD? Why did you decide to do PhD? And do you think PhD is necessary or key especially in this age of AI today?
Thank you very much, Sheikh Faiz. Honestly, that question is very, very interesting to me, right? And as I said, I was in the academic, studying the academic for some time, and I'm still in the academic though. And so when I finished my masters, I was supposed to continue, with my academics. But then two things happened at that same time while I was still in Malaysia. And then one was I got a job with a Malaysian local company. It's called Petrovision. And then after that, I also had the opportunity to run a PhD degree. Now, I had two options, right? One was to proceed with the PhD, which was actually a particular grant that we applied, and we defended our proposal, and we were given the grant to work on that PhD, which was actually an industry problem from a field, that is being produced by Petronas, the Malaysian National Oil Company. Now, I weighed my options, right? I weighed the fact that this could be an opportunity, a life opportunity for me to run the PhD and probably finish within the next 2.5 or 3 years. And then I saw that I was too young enough to switch into the industry. So, and then I also looked at the monetary part of it, and I saw that what I'll be earning while working, I would also be earning this almost same while I was doing my PhD, right? And then the third one, I also looked at what opportunity might come to me after my PhD. And that was actually what made me to have, to finally make my prayers and proceed with the PhD. Why? Because I saw a lot of opportunities, especially in R&D, research and development. I looked at where can I remain relevant in the industry. If not operations, which of course every major player in the energy sector does, another sector that almost every sector invests so much in is R&D, research and development. And I felt, okay, with a PhD, it's a no-brainer. It's with a PhD, I would have no restrictions, to go into that. And then the fact that the PhD is also an industry-based PhD, because my entire research was about an existing challenge, and I do all the laboratory work, not all, maybe 50% of them, inside the laboratory in the oil and gas industry, while the remaining one are in the university. I saw that that's also an opportunity because it gives me opportunity to work hand in hand with reservoir engineers and production engineers. So while my role wasn't a reservoir engineering role or production engineering role, I work directly with them in order to have solution to that particular problem, which affects their own operation. So that actually helped me a lot, in making the decision. So most times, as I said, you need to weigh in the opportunities. Sometimes the reality sets in and you just have to accept whatever it is that you have. That's the reality. Sometimes you actually need a job because you need to move on in life. You need to have a means of sustenance and you need to grow. So a role comes in, but it's not exactly what you want to do. This is not exactly where I want to be. So while doing that, you can still pursue that ultimate goal that you want to do. That's one. Two, you can as well redirect your interest to what you are doing presently. I know someone who all his life had wanted to be a reservoir engineer. Even though he wasn't so sound in reservoir engineering, owing to the fact that he didn't have a very good and solid background in reservoir engineering, we didn't all have. Let me put it that way, because we studied together. So our foundation reservoir engineering is not as sound as drilling and production. That we all acknowledge among ourselves. But then he was insisting on being a reservoir engineer, while I had always wanted to be a production engineer, right? So, but he got a job in an industry, and he got a job that is entirely different from these two. In fact, the job he got was actually more of a technician job, right? As an engineer, that wasn't the job that he should be doing. He shouldn't be on the flow station operating tools and operating valves and all that. But as at that time, that was what he found, and he went for it. And trust me, while he was doing that, because he was majorly based in Port Harcourt, he went back to the University of Port Harcourt, ran a master's degree in reservoir engineering, and just along the way, while he was still working in there, an advertisement came. They were looking for a reservoir engineer. Even though they included some experience in reservoir engineering, which he didn't have, he still applied. So when he was interviewed, he told them that he never had experience in reservoir engineering as per role he played, but all the time he was in this company, he has always worked together with reservoir engineers, and he has understood the problem adequately. And with his master's in reservoir engineering, he can play this role. And they interviewed him, and they found him worthy, and he moved to his reservoir engineering role. So you need to look at, on a final note regarding the PhD, honestly, for me, unless if you are in academics or you actually are in an R&D, like maybe you are in NNPC, Research Technology and Innovation, RTI, or maybe you are in your organization's R&D department and you want to you want to continue in that field, I don't think PhD is necessary for you. I don't really think it's necessary. I think what would be more, what you can do more is even acquire more skills than going deep 3, 4 years or 5. If you are going to US, it's a 5 years. non-negotiable 4 or 5 years. So, I mean, instead of spending all those 4 or 5 years doing one thing, focusing on one thing, and there's a thing that PhD does for you, it closes your mind from doing any other thing, takes the whole of you, consumes the whole of you, make you only focus on PhD without any other thing. And that's why some people say it's a permanent head damage, because you might not really come back to yourself if while doing the PhD you are not able to move into other areas. You might just feel that's the only thing you can do and that's the only thing you should be doing, which I feel is not really very good for growth. So you can actually focus on that and focus on your own personal skills and interpersonal skills as well. When I say interpersonal skills, how you relate with other people at work, how you relate with people outside your discipline, how you learn from other people, because what they do affects what you do, and ultimately you are targeting the same goal. So I think in summary, Marlon Faiz is what I can say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. So just think we can move into the Q&A. Apologies, we've shoot over time due to some of the technical issues, and I believe it has been a very interesting discussion. I see everyone is highly engrossed and so on. So, but I think you've touched on some of the question already, but maybe in one sentence to buttress this further. Someone on the chat, before we go to see some hands raised, but before then, let me get one or two questions from the chat. Someone from biochemistry, specifically molecular and biochemical aspects, is asking, are there specific areas in oil and gas where knowledge of molecular biology, environmental biochemistry, toxicology, and so on can be useful? What skills, certifications, and so on, entry-level roles will they focus on? And an additional question that maybe you combine about age, which I think is important. We didn't touch on that. Someone is asking, is age, maybe is above 30 years and so on. Does that also have limitation? So quickly, in one or two sentences, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Faiz, for that. So I think what I would throw about in anything related to chemistry, let me put not just chemistry, right? Chemistry, polymer sciences, chemistry education, laboratory sciences, even lab science. A lot of people feel, oh, lab science is basically microbiology. I mean, even macrobiology, even biology. I know people who studied biology, not even chemistry, but they are doing very well. Now, let me give you an instance of somebody in ATBU, from ATBU anyways. Amal Faiz might know him. He actually graduated from ATBU chemistry in ATBU School of Sciences. His name is Garba. He's from Bauchi. And after his first degree, he got PTDF scholarship. I think they were supposed to be the first set of PTDF scholars that he went to US to study his master's for his PTDF scholarship. And then while he was there, he actually read mud engineering. Now, mud engineering is drilling fluid engineering, and drilling fluid generally is the lifeline of drilling everywhere. Without the drilling fluid, or without the perfect drilling fluid, you cannot even drill a well successfully, right? So with this chemistry knowledge, right, because all this is about formulation, it's about forming, having one substance and another, and mixing those substances in order to have a third substance that does this and this, or that exhibits so and so characteristics, that has that has so viscosity, so weight, movement rate, So you know, all the parameters of the fluid, you know, need to be right for you to be able to run it as a mod engineering. Now he leveraged his knowledge of molecular chemistry, organic and inorganic and physical chemistry in order to provide, you know, in order to study mod engineering, and became a drilling mod engineer. And immediately he finished, he got employed by Baker Hughes. At that time, Baker Hughes paid, or actually do pay, their mod engineers, I think, in the US at the range of $8,000 to $10,000 monthly. And that was the breakthrough for him. While he ran his first few wells as a mod engineer for those wells, and the wells were successful.
Oh, network glitch again. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you are back.
Yeah. Is, you know, it's your drill bit to drill a well, to drill through the well. The bit is an iron, is a form of you know, an iron made of diamond coated and all that, and then it drills into the rock in order to provide that access. Right now, the mud would lubricate that rock. It will clean the bore while you're drilling, to clean the borehole. It will provide stability for the well bore. It will do this, it will do that. Now, these are the parameters you need for the mud. Now, for you to achieve that, you need to know what can I add up together? What can I put together to give me that? Now, he used that knowledge. And trust me, from there, he was now transferred to Saudi Arabia. He worked in Saudi Arabia for some years. He now left working for them after 20 years, and now he moved to Abu Dhabi National Oil Company as a consultant. They pay him almost $15,000 monthly. You know, from $15,000 monthly, he became a consultant. I mean, that's how his whole family live in the Middle East now. He has a family. He's already moving on. He's been working, has expanded his services to other. So this is it, right? If he had said, "Oh, I studied chemistry," and probably didn't look at other opportunities about there, he wouldn't be in the oil and gas industry. He said he knew he was going to be in the industry when he was reading chemistry. That's me discussing with him. He said because that's what he wanted to be. He wanted chemical engineering. If we gave him chemistry, he said, "Well, regardless, I know I was still going to be in the oil and gas industry." So his thoughts were all channeled through there. The same thing with any other course you study. As I said, you look at what you can study physics, and then do your masters in petroleum engineering. It will give you, or do your masters in fluid, or something in thermodynamics. I mean, all these are things that are related, but then you need to identify, what do I want to be? A reservoir engineer? Yes, these are the skills. A production engineer? These are the skills. I want to build on drilling. I want to become a drilling expert because I read mechanical engineering, and in the mechanical, I want to have my focus on drill bits and how to improve the performance of drill bits. What parameters? So you need to have the skills on that. So whatever you study, as I said, is actually not a barrier for you to go into your skills. I know someone who read physics and was in NLNG as a senior technical person for many years. I was discussing with him sometime in Lagos, and he told me that when he was studying physics, some of his colleagues were telling him, actually, you are going to be either a school teacher who teaches physics, or come back and lecture in physics department. But he said, no, I would still be where I want to be because that's what I want to be. So please, let's not make ourselves lose the track. What we want to be, we can always get there, and we can always achieve what we want to achieve by the special grace of God. Metallurgy engineering, as somebody who read metallurgy engineering, material sciences, metallurgical engineering. In fact, I taught someone now with nanomaterials, nanoparticles. Now, nanomaterials is the AI. Now, nanomaterials is giving you a blend of every profession you have studied, right? Now, with nanosciences, people are upgrading systems. People are optimizing processes. People are optimizing products, preparing very, very adequate materials that can be used in the industry and outperform the ones that were there because it's a blend. Oh, I know carbon nanoparticles, CNT, has so and so, it is brittle, it is light, it is this. So I need another material that is this and that. You blend them together, and then you get your material.
Doctor,
now,
to come
civil
in.
engineering, to round up, you can be in offshore structures. You can be in, every other field. You can even be in process in engineering generally, geology, geoengineering, geotechnical. Those are the key things, right? You got geology, geophysics. I mean, for me, there are even more. There are even more oil and gas relevant than petroleum engineers. Why? Because they have so many span. They have a lot to do, more than the petroleum engineers actually. So
I can see the passion,
areas
Doctor.
You need to develop yourselves. Yes.
Yeah, I can see the passion. Maybe we need to have a part 2 of this webinar.
Yeah, definitely. I think so because
So
we still have so much to talk about.
Yeah, I see you've touched a lot on this. So many questions around. Someone said he studied electrical engineering, someone computer science, medical line, legal, law. Because of time, I think you've already addressed that. You can come from any field, any this thing course, and you still be able to. The most important thing from what I get is you need to know where you want to be. You need to have a plan. And then, fortunately today with internet, with AI, you can do this research, the courses you need to take and so on. You can, because the industry is not just about technical, everything. There's legal, right? There's accounting, there is so many things. And today with technology is very critical. But I think uh, I would say officially we can say we have rounded, but we have a number of hands up. So let's just give them the opportunity to quickly ask their questions. So Zakari, please proceed.
Okay. Yes. Good afternoon, Malam Faiz. Thank you so much, the CEO, for FlexiSoft Edisoft. We appreciate you for this opportunity. Thank you so much. To the guest speaker, I appreciate you also immensely, for honoring this invitation to share your experience with us. Thank you, sir. So my name is Zakari Abubakar, and I'm currently in the banking industry. I'm a student of energy economics. And for years now, I have always loved to be a consultant in the oil and gas industry. So when I saw this invite, I said, this is an opportunity for me. So my question is about positioning myself to become what I want to be in this aspect of the economy, that is to become a consultant, especially in the aspect of research and development. I know there are some of us here who are not in the STEM, faculty, but are very much interested in becoming consultants or maybe suppliers or things like that, contractors in this aspect. So it's about the advice you have for me to be able to position myself as a consultant in this particular industry. I know you've said something before, and because of time, I don't know if it's possible, maybe you share your contacts so I could maybe personally reach out. I'm to some extent, it's like requesting, as you know, requesting to be a mentee under you, but also, you know, to provide some assistance in terms of advice as to, you know, getting a guide, a direction in achieving my goal. Thank you so much. I don't want to spend much time.
Yeah, thank you for this important question around consultants. So, Doctor, please, in 30 seconds, I can see many people.
Okay, so in 30 seconds, Zachary, thank you very much for coming in. And I think that's a very, very important. And I love that energy. And please, this is what I think we all should have. Let's identify what we want to be and go towards it. Actually, to be a consultant, you must start from somewhere. And that is because your capital, largely, it's experience. Your capital in consultancy is knowledge and experience. People would believe you, would subscribe to your services when they know that you have the experience. And that is actually the key thing you need. Now, you might have a lot of knowledge to share with people and probably do not have much experience. So where you need to place yourself is find opportunities within some consultancy firms, people that are doing similar to things you want, and probably propose to be, even if it's an internship they can offer, start with them as an intern. It doesn't matter. There are people that after their PhD, they go for internship. You know, I know someone presently, she's one of our Yoruba sisters. I know her from MSSN and all that. She's doing her PhD in the US. I think she just finished. And she's doing her internship or starting her PhD internship with Schlumberger. So that's post-PhD internship. Now, any level of education you have, get some people that do that, express to them what you want to, why you want this, and go for an internship. Even a year internship, you don't know how much it's going to do to you. Now, after that, if you want to start on your own, that's good. But I advise you start with some consultants, right? You join a consultancy firm and then try to learn and then blend and work together with them while you learn more. From there, if you want to detach and continue on your own, that would be very, very good. Thank you very much. I think that's for sake of time, I'll stop on that.
Yeah, thank you. Inusa, you can unmute.
All right. Good evening. Thank you very much, Madam Ismail, Madam Bashir, for organizing this great webinar. And thank you, Dr. Abakar, for the knowledge and experience. My name is Inusa Rabi Isa. Very quickly, my question is with regard to age limit. As you see, mostly in Nigerian case, the lowest graduate used to graduate at the age of 24, 25, and then you wait for a year to start your NYSC. And almost all graduate trainees set age limit. Most of them, they will say not more than 26 years, at most 28. So my question now is that, is it great if you can get an MSc that you come back and join the GT? Like, can MSc help you to settle your age limit? Or is there anything that you can do to, that would help you to overcome your age limit with regard to internship or GT roles? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Inusa. I don't know, is it the Inusa I know that finished first class from Bayero University?
Yes, he is the one. He is the one.
Inusa, are you the one?
Yes, I'm the one.
Okay. So just for mentioning, Inusa is one of the very intelligent young people that we have, and I himself and I think few of his friends, I always commend them for so much they've done. You always see them around professionals in conferences and all that. So Inusa, that question is very, very important. I think it's something that actually touches a lot of young people. Unfortunately, the age limit is something that I think even HR have been, discussing about. in so many discussions I was able to find online most times. I've seen where concerns have been raised, sometimes even during conferences regarding the age limit. But as I said, right, graduate trainees and the graduate internship mostly are actually meant for the youngest level of professionals, and that's the initial stage. So as it is what it is, that the age limit is still a constraint. However, trying to navigate around it, I always suggest to people that if you don't get yourself a graduate trainee role, you can always get a master's degree, right? You can always get a master's degree and then have a lot of skills. Now, a lot of people, when they're advertising, they will put either a first class or a master's degree, which means, first class or 2-1 or a master's degree. Or if you have a master's degree, some might consider that the 30 years or 20, because some actually GTs are not even up to 30 years. Most cases, actually 26, 27 in most cases, some even lower as it is today, as I do see around. So which is very, very, unfortunately, very challenging for a lot of our graduates. So I think what we need to do while we are still considering getting a master's, that should not do away with our skills. I know organizations that today they don't look at degrees, they don't look at age. They don't look at age. They just say maybe after at least 1 year after NYC, at least 2 years after NYC. Not more than 3 years after NYC, and then they give you graduate trainee. They don't even look at age. I know in multinationals like that. So most times the change comes from multinationals, even though some are still bound by that. I don't know why, but some actually are a little more flexible. And they said that with masters and not up to 2 years or not more than 3 years after NYC. Now those would help you to get into it. However, even if you are not able to, remember I said people start careers in even rubber producing companies. I know someone who started in a rubber producing company in Ibadan, friends from UI, from University of Ibadan. Myself and him did IT, 400 level IT together in NNPC in 2006. And he started with the rubber. I think while we were even talking, he was still in the rubber industry. And then suddenly I found him in one of the independents, and he's working with them as a production engineer. So, and then he was hired as an experienced hire, actually, I think after 4 years or 5. So sometimes graduate trainee might be very strict based on age and degree, but don't lose the hope. Get yourself busy, get yourself ready with the necessary skills, and inshallah, the sky is your limit.
Thank you.
Or even the starting point, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have Ahmad Khalid.
We have to maybe round up in the next 5 minutes, okay, because of Zuhur time. Yeah. So that we'll be able to. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. I would like to thank Dr. Abubakar for being here with us. Indeed, you have shared a lot and you have given more than we expected. And to the organizer, Malam Faiz, we also thank you. My question was, I know that Doctor has been a researcher and also an industry expert. My question was, Doctor, please, how did you balance the long-term nature of research with industry's need for a quick result? And what practical application did you see for space and remote sensing and the oil and gas for today's dynamic world?
Sorry, that's the last question. Space and what?
Space and the practical application for space and remote sensing in the dynamic world of today. Okay. Because currently I'm a researcher in space and environment lab here in Egypt.
Okay. MashaAllah, Mala Ahmad. Mala Ahmad is also is also a graduate of ATBU. He's one of our very young, alhamdulillah, very young and promising young people. Malam Ahmad is also a Hafiz of the glorious Quran, alhamdulillah. And I saw it on his LinkedIn. He's actually the one that shared the post even before me on LinkedIn. I just realized, I just recognized his voice when he mentioned the course of study. So thank you very much, Malam Ahmad. I think as a researcher, right, or as someone who has done so much in research, there are blending between research, which I still do, although not actually, it's not the role of my organization, but then it's a passion, and it's something that I still love doing because I still feel there are a lot of things, or rather, there are a lot of gaps that we can still close. So I think what I've been doing is, while I make sure I don't lack in the requirements of my role today, I create time to do research. Normally, as my professor, Dr. Adebayo Suleiman, always would tell me, he said, "Doctor, if you can have 9 productive hours in a month, 9 productive hours in a month, you'll be able to achieve your research goals, even as a professor." I mean, 9 productive hours means these are hours that you don't have distractions or less distraction, because as humans, it's impossible to say you don't have distractions. But you try as much as you can to see that you minimize distractions. And this depends on timing. There are some people like myself, between 2 and 3 and 4 a.m., I realize are the most less destructive moments for me. So I try as much as I can to see that even if it's once a week or twice, I utilize those periods, right? There are people that it's the weekend, morning in the weekend or evening in the weekends, that are most productive for them. So you try to add up, those hours, and make sure you maximize them. You itemize what you want to achieve and you maximize them. And honestly, the requirements of a research, the diligence, the in-depth analysis, the thoughts, whatever is required in research, in a successful research for you to do, is actually the same that the oil and gas industry requires. And that's why, to be honest, I don't find it any challenging moving into, working both together, because what you do in the research space is actually the same thing that the industry requires of you. The end goal is the result. What you need to do or add together in order to produce that particular journal or to produce that particular result from your research is the same thing you need to put together in order to achieve that particular goal in the organization, because your organization has a goal. So I didn't find any mismatch in both, and I believe when we are able to put them up together, one will be able to achieve the goals. Now, for remote sensing and space study, which you are doing now, I think is even beyond relevant, to be honest. Now, remote sensing and space study, especially the remote sensing part of it, from my own understanding, today we talk about even in the objectives that President Ahmed Bola Tinubu has put for the oil and gas sector in Nigeria through his executive orders. I want to see how we can improve the RRR ratio, right? The reserve recovery ratio. How do we recover the depleted reserve by getting more or exploring more reserve? Now, this is an area where I know a lot of companies today that I can link you ultimately with someone who today they've been providing services on offshore sensing and whatever to Chevron for the past 5-6 years, and they've been doing so well. So probably you can align with him, and maybe he can be an industry mentor, someone who can guide you through that, and maybe try to see how he can relate. But what I know, obviously, it's a very important sector in the industry that that you can utilize. And
Thank you.
Bala Ahmad, we really miss you personally, myself and Jawad and Haider, and we wish you the very best in your pursuit, inshallah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ibrahim, are you there?
Maybe the last question, go, Sheikh Faiz.
Cool. We have you need to round off.
So let me just quickly,
30 seconds. Yeah.
So please,
Ibrahim.
let's be rushing now.
Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Abubakar. Thank you so much. It's nice meeting you. So, in short, just like graduate trainees have their limitations, experience has also have their challenge. Recently, NLG has released a vacancy for experienced hires, especially for lead leaguer. And I noticed that there is this GMAT exam, which a lot of experienced hires are shying away from. So do you have any resource and advice for that? How experienced hires can master that GMAT exam and also scale the pre-interview assessment? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So just a general answer, right? So that in case somebody has similar answer for experience hire, most times what I understand and what I think experience hire require, anytime you're applying for a role in a particular organization where you know, of course, you're going to write an exams and interview. A lot of people try to shun away from examinations. And I think it's not a good thing, right? Some people feel, oh, they are going to be examined and probably are going to be examined strictly on oil and gas. Not necessarily. You'll be shocked to see that you are going for a procurement, lead procurement, maybe in NLNG or Shell or any leading IOC or even the National Oil Company, NPC. And you might be asked probably out of 10 or 15, you might be asked only 2 questions or 3 relating to oil and gas. They wouldn't expect you to know anything reservoir engineering, anything production engineering. It's actually none of their business. What they want you to be able to answer is how do you navigate, your experience, whatever years of experience you have recorded or you have indicated in your CV or your joint application, you need to transfer it to their own problem. So what you need to do is you do your best to make sure that you know somebody in that organization. Anybody can be from any department, and then you channel your questions to that person. Please, can you assist me with probably the goals, maybe the goals of the organization, what the organization tried to achieve, what are these, what are that. You try to have some clarifications around the role, right? And then you blend it with your own questions, and then you can go online. You can go on LinkedIn and ask questions, send message to people, ask questions, and copy people, and I assure you, people will come to your aid. But a lot of us shy away from this, as you said, and I think it affects. So this is not being specific about one particular role. I know people who read law, but they said, but the role said it's about contracting. Of course, as a lawyer, you go to an organization, they do a lot of contract. So they will ask you about contract. So you should be able to be ready. I mean, pretty ready to discuss about different type of contracts. Of course, and then probably other aspects, either litigations and other areas of the law. But then you should try to cover everything. Don't just go for that particular role. You might not even have the chance to come for a second interview. Thank you very much, Falafais.
Yeah, your favor.
All right. Good afternoon, Sir Faiz and Dr. Abubakar. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Okay, for the sake of time, I'll go straight to my question. My question is this. I'm a recent graduate. I studied educational management, but towards the ending of last year, I got an opportunity to do internship in the Total Energies here in Port Harcourt. I'm based in Port Harcourt. And after my internship, a whole lot of things about me changed, because before now, it has always been go to school, study, become a lecturer because I love teaching and I have passion for teaching. But having the opportunity to go into IOC and seeing how things work, it's not as if my passion is no longer there. I want to focus on
the money is moving, right?
I want to focus on things that can pay the bills. Passion can wait. Maybe at old age you can go back to passion. So I want to ask: is it something right? Am I on the right track, or is there something I can do to follow this reality? Because right now it's as if the passion is not aligned with it.
Oh yes, there is. Honestly, there is, and I would want to tell you, right, Favor, You are
Yes,
in the oil city, and a lot of opportunities abound in Port Harcourt. Sometimes you have to keep knocking on doors and attending all those SPE programs, linking yourself to people around SPE and what they do. Even as a non-petroleum engineer, you can register in Society of Petroleum Engineers SPE, Port Harcourt branch, which I encourage you to do. Attend their monthly or bi-weekly events, listen to it. Now, I know people who read education and they're in HR, human management, right? They go and do courses in HR, right? And I know someone who's presently leading one of the local company, but doing very well for herself. She actually read education and business education, and then he's in HR, and she's heading the HR department. Now, if you see all the courses she did post that HR whatever, it's actually not even related to her education course, right? But now she has become an expert in that. And then there's leadership department in every organization. Now, either human resources or leadership. I mean, these are all courses you can go and get the skills in. And then, as I said, graduate internship are very, very important. And then attending the events of oil and gas is equally very important because it gives you a network that probably you can never have anywhere, right? You just need to, of course, put your money where your mouth is, thereabout. Now, you just need to probably spend some little money to get skills, a little money to travel to Lagos for NAPE conference, SP conference, to travel around whenever there is conference, to register as a student or even as a student graduate, which they are discount or sometimes it's free for you to attend. Now you need to do all that. And I think having the Total experience is very, very important. Total has a lot of programs apart from that, and you can take it online. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you, sir.
Purity. Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon. I want to thank everyone, the host and the co-host, for this webinar. It has really been very insightful. So I am a final year chemical engineering student at the University of Port Harcourt, and I would like to ask, right, what as you mentioned, regaining skills. So I'd like to ask, for someone like me who's a final year student, what are some technical skills that you think I should focus on and gain while I'm still in my final phase in school? What are some technical skills you think I should learn that will be useful when I come out of school in the industry, that people will see and know that at least I can offer something in the oil and gas industry? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So basically, as a chemical engineer, I think you can learn as a chemical engineer, as a process engineer, and analytical skills. Now, these analytical skills can be either data analytics, they can be process analysis, they can be energy analysis, everything analytic. Now, your ability to acquire these skills and then learn these skills while you're still a student is very, very easy. I told someone I learned certain softwares on YouTube. You know, that time there are no platforms like Distinction. When I opened some of the courses in Distinction, I could see video clips, you know, which attached to courses, which is very important. And that was what I was actually doing on LinkedIn. I got some cracked version of some softwares. There are a lot of them. You probably can also drop your email on the chat box. I can look for some of these websites. I have some friends that are deeply into the chemical engineering space, and I know myself, I made use of those chemical engineering analytical skills when I was doing my PhD. Just so you know, I built from scratch a molecule that was able to resolve a very difficult emulsion, and that requires me to build a molecule in a software, build the molecule, look at the structure of the molecule, look at the bond between one molecule and another, look at what can break it easily when I need it to be broken, look at how it can remain strong where I don't want it to be broken. Now, all this require you to learn so many of these softwares. Just because of time, I can't mention, but I have some here. I have some lists of softwares here on my PC, but I can't really place my hands on it because I don't know the questions are coming. But as I said, probably in the second phase of this, I'm taking note of it, and I know the Malafa is also taking note of it. I can bring suggestions of a particular questions purity for you on that. That's very important. While you're doing that, learn stuff like Python as well for programming languages. Learn about skills here that we have on distinction. I don't really know the chemical engineering skills that are here, but I know I will check with Faiz, and you can also check those skills that are there. Now, what do you want to be when you go into the industry after your chemical engineering? That also matters, and that will direct you to what kind of skills you need to achieve. Thank you very much. Because of time, I'll stop here.
Yeah, we have these two hands up since. Please, we can quickly take them.
Okay, quickly, please. Yes.
Rahima.
Afternoon.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, loud and clear.
So I studied software engineering, and I'm currently serving. I'm doing my NYSC, and as you said, there is opportunities for any like field that you're coming from in the oil and gas industry. So, like if, for example, I want to go into the industry through a graduate trainee program and I studied software engineering, am I expected to maybe have specific kind of skills already or expertise in related to the oil and gas, or just like maybe my software engineering skills is fine if I'm able to maybe ace the graduate trainee recruitment process?
Okay, thank you very much. So definitely they will still require you with some skills. They will surely definitely require you to have some skills. Because conventionally what you have been taught in the university, as I said, is different from what the industry wants, right? The industry would want you to be able to look at complex issues and uncertainty, a lot of uncertainties, and see how you decipher it, how you navigate through those uncertainties. So a lot of skills you need, which I'm sure Faiz is also a software engineer, software expert, and I'm sure in his distinction program there should be such softwares, or there should be such programs. If he has not put, I'm sure he should probably consider that. Now, data generally, software engineers actually, I believe, develop softwares, right?
Yes.
I believe develop softwares. Yes. Now, for you to develop the software, you have to know the process. And you might not have to know deeply the process, but then you have to know the key things or the major things in the process. And then from that, you would work with someone who knows deeply, and then you work together. Now, for you to know how to develop software, for instance, on let's say reservoir simulation, right? How do you look at water influx? Water can break through your reservoir, and you start producing water instead of oil. And then you didn't spend $30 million to produce a water well. You want to see oil, but water is coming instead. Now, you need to probably have maybe developed a software that can predict how can early water breakthrough be prevented, or how can we observe early water breakthrough. A software that maybe will take account of so and so and so parameters, or a software that can be mounted on another hardware and then will be attached into maybe the drill string and to be positioned in the subsurface, something like that. But then you need to understand the process. So there are certain skills that you need to understand. Yes, you have to understand the entire oil and gas at a surface. We say we have this T, the T. Can you see my T, right? Can see my T. Now this is horizontal, right? Now you have to know everything. You have to know something about everything. And then you have to go down and know everything about something. I don't know if that makes sense. You have to know something in the industry about everything. You have to know how the industry works, how the processes are. Subsurface, if you want to be subsurface person. No, I'm a surface person, strictly surface. From the wellhead, from the top of the well, merely the oil has left the oil has left the well and come to the surface. This is where I want to start my own software engineering. So from here, you have to know, from here onto the refinery, what happens. You have to know that. if you want to know from reservoir how the oil start coming together in pieces, come together and merge and flow into the wellbore and travel up, you also need to study that. But I don't advise you to say you want to do both surface and surface. You have to take a particular direction for you to, as a software engineer, I assure you the energy industry, the future is in you people's hands, yeah? And you can navigate through.
Yeah.
Thank you, one first. Last question, yeah?
To quickly add to that, this thing is competitive. So if you are a software engineer, you have other 100 software engineers, what you should be thinking is, how do you demonstrate that you are different, right? For example, you can go and, in the industry, oil and gas, I learned that safety, is very important. So you could go and do certification on safety, demonstrate that you understand why this is important, and you'll be a very, highly safe and cautious person, right? Data analytics, for example, software, you have a very good opportunity to demonstrate that. And now with AI, to show that you can improve. So yeah, you have to do some of these things to differentiate. Then people will listen to you and pay attention, and the opportunities will open. So our last question, sorry, Olubebe, we have to take
the
this
last
last
question,
one,
please.
and we can have other opportunities to follow up. So Ridwanullah. Can you unmute?
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. Please, I would like to ask Madam Faiz that how can we access the recording of this call after that? Then
okay,
also
you share it.
Okay, then also for Madam Abubakar, I wanted to ask, is that like a platform where you share opportunities for people that are done with school, maybe the access to trainees or materials that you can share with people that are just coming up, or anywhere we can access it?
Okay, so for the recording, Malafai said, inshallah, he'll provide that. But for the opportunities, honestly, I don't have somewhere, but I know I do share some on my LinkedIn. I do share some on my X handle. Although my X handle is a rowdy handle, I post a lot of things other than that. But I want to concentrate more on the career growth. I think I create more value there. So I will be sharing so much of this undergraduate opportunities, graduate training especially. We have some platforms, WhatsApp platforms, but are strictly for professionals. So I can't share the link because I'm not even the admin. But then opportunities are being shared there in most cases. So I send to people I know individually sometimes and all that. And then some I take them and I put them on the platform. Yes. But I think we'll also look for an opportunity with Malam Faiz to see if we can create somewhere on distinction to see that we can be dumping opportunities like that so that anytime there's an opportunity, we'll be able to put it on the platform.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have like a forum on, so just go to the link shared oilandgas.distinction.app, sign up today, and these things will be made available. There'll be forums and so on, and you'll have Doctor to engage with. Doctor, apologies, since this is the last one, since there's no more, we can take it. So,
is it Jamila?
No.
Okay. Okay. I think she just thumbed up. She didn't. It's not
okay.
Question. Go ahead. Last question.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Olubebe. I'm currently a 400 level student of mechatronics engineering, but I want to venture into industrial automation. But my problem is I don't know the technical skills I need to acquire to go into that part. So I want you to share more light on what I need to know, the skills I need to acquire, and if there is any like professional certificate or anything I need to acquire to venture into that aspect. Thank you.
Okay. Actually technical skills, right? You say you want to venture into control systems
Industrial,
or instruments? Automation?
industrial automation. Yes, sir.
Yes. So I think industrial automation, right? For us here, let me be honest with you. For us here in Nigeria, and I think generally in Africa, it's still a system that is coming up. But I promise you, it's taking a very good shape already, especially the industrial automation. For instance, the Dangote refinery is one of those examples, where so much has been put. I think either the train 7 or train 8 of NLNG, also they try as much to see that they've included a lot of automation. Their knowledge is about robotics.
Hello? You stopped hearing.
Other country, the sea conditions, they do make use of these automations. But I think generally the skills. Hear me now?
Yes.
Hello? Okay. So as I said, the skills you need, right? You need actually the general, as I said, like any other person, you need the general process knowledge, right? So as I said, is it upstream or downstream or midstream? I think I saw some courses on this distinction that are required that are very important for you. You can check. Outside here, you can as well learn maybe other skills that has to do with the automation, with the electrical systems, systems that make use of electrical and electronics, and skills like that. I'm not sure if they have been included deeply into this platform of distinction, but all these are skills that are very necessary for you to proceed. One thing with your own skill, like many others, it is a multidisciplinary skill where you are at the middle of many other disciplines. So you need to understand how the whole system works, and then how do you automate the system? How do you make this system better being automated? There are some areas before they use pneumatic valves, right? These pneumatic valves. Now, pneumatic valves are valves that are being turned by ear. Pneumatic, as the name implies, right? Pneumatic, pneumatic, right? So there are some of these valves that when you want them to open, because of the conditions or in the subsurface or in that location, you use the air. You go and open the air valve, and the air will pass through a pipe and it will open it. You observe after it's been finished or the flow has been finished, you close it. Now there are automated valves. I know there are a lot of companies today in Nigeria, that do all this SCADA stuff, right? All these supervisory control and data acquisition systems. Some of them are just actually picking up, as I said. They're not fully involved. So I can't say precisely these are the skills you need because it's still a process growing up, but you need to start having the general knowledge of the system, and then get to know about how most of these things work. You can also look at all those programmable logic controllers, right? I just saw this, on my PC. The PLCs, yes, PLCs, and then the DCS as well, distributed control systems. So all these are skills, that you can learn. And I think I don't know that Malam Faiz will have one or two things to say about this, being someone who read chemical, electrical, electronics, and an expert also on software. But for me, I think this is all I can say.
Thank you very much. I think because of time, we have to stop here. We've really short, but most importantly, I think is the interest and all the benefit that we got out of this webinar. We would like to extend our sincere appreciation for your time, and looking forward to to host you in part 2. So you can also follow Dr. Abubakar on LinkedIn and other channels to get more information that he shares these things. Thank you all. Thank you for your time this lovely weekend. Have a nice.
Thank you very much, Faiz, for having us, and have a lovely weekend. Thank you, guys.